Hey, this is the World Advice Channel 2. What I want to talk about today is the topic of, is Donald Trump doing a good job as President of the United States? So for this video, I will explain if he is or not. And when it comes to answering that question straight up to get to the point, as a president, no, he is not. And the reason why I say that, without trying to put any personal biases involved, especially when you take into consideration the fact that I am, obviously a left-wing person, and also not just a left-wing person, but a black person. So obviously, let's be honest, I obviously have a bit of a bias against him naturally by nature, especially with, of course, some of the racist shit he has said and has done in the past. But even aside from that, I want to try to let it go and just be as unbiased as possible when it comes to something obviously Americans focus on the most, which of course is the economy. And when it comes to how well Donald Trump is doing, when it comes to helping the economy and just other issues America has, but mainly the economy, Donald Trump is not doing a good job. Because the truth of the matter is, when it comes to Donald Trump as a president, okay, even though a lot of people love him because he's apparently someone who gets shit done, and he does kind of get shit done in honesty. I'm not gonna lie, even as someone who doesn't like him, the truth of the matter is, regardless of that fact, it's still amazing to me how someone like him can talk so much about, I'm gonna get shit done, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, yet he's somehow not focusing on the core issue, which is, how can we help every American, okay? Which is, obviously the most important thing. Things like, like just randomly going to LA and of course arresting, Latinos, and we're not even talking about recent Latinos who've been here for a few weeks or a few months, who illegally immigrated across the US border. We're talking about Latinos who have literally been here for like decades and were either born here, but they just had illegal parents, or secondly of all, they might not have had illegal parents, but they were born, but even though they were born in a country of like Mexico or some other Latin American nation, they left there at a very young age, like arresting those people and sending them back to, of course, Latin America, and of course, no surprise, another thing that's also a big thing as well, this conflict that's already happening with Iran, that's growing with Iran, for that matter, and all that type of shit. The truth of the matter is, why exactly, when you see that type of stuff, do you think he's doing a good job as a president? Look at it from a logical perspective, for that matter, okay? Not even putting political biases involved, or even race involved, all those sort of stuff that defies us. We're talking about simple logic and facts. He's not doing a good job as a president, okay? Because why, for crying out loud, if you're such a strong person and you actually live up to the things you're doing, why is the price of food, especially in America, still so freaking high? And I haven't heard anything about that changing. It's still high from what I've heard, as hell. Why hasn't that improved? Okay? Why hasn't he focused on that? Okay? And it's not even just simply things like that. It's also other things he screwed up, that obviously, even though it might not be as important as the economy, there's a lot of other things he has done that has screwed things up, such as one of the biggest ones that absolutely is a very big one, actually, believe it or not, and it might not be as significant, but it's very significant, is the effect his decisions have had on the aviation industry. You ever wondered why there's so many freaking plane crashes nowadays? The biggest reason why there's so many motherfucking plane crashes is because Donald Trump has cut funding to the aviation industry, okay? Which obviously, as anyone who uses their head and uses common sense, would know that's not something to play games with, not aside from the fact that it's not only dangerous, but as I'm certain we're all aware, dying from a plane crash is one of the most horrifying, if not the most horrifying way to die, for that matter, okay? Because you're literally up tens of thousands of feet in the air, thousands, 10,000, whatever, you get the point. Like you're high up in the air, and you're literally falling to the ground and you see yourself crashing. I could literally imagine if something would happen, even strong guys would be screaming like me. That is a horrifying way to die. And guess what? There's been numerous things happening, when it comes to plane crashes and stuff happening throughout the world. even a recent Indian plane crash, okay? Even though you might say, oh, that's in India, guess who still owns it? It's Boeing. Which Boeing is, guess what? No surprise, is an American company. So that's exactly what I'm trying to say. And that's why there's having so many plane crashes, whether it's Boeing or other things. And that's something he cut funding for. And also, he hasn't done anything regarding a lot of other issues, whether it could be things like improving infrastructure and many different things. Instead of actually focusing on things that's actually going to make the lives of the everyday American happier and better, he's focusing on starting some bullshit war in the Middle East or something. That obviously could kill a hell of a lot of people. Especially when you take in consideration that Iran's military might not be as advanced or sophisticated as America's, but they sure as hell know what to do. And he's creating some conflict with them that could possibly require American troops to be deployed in Iran, which would kill a lot of people. A lot of American troops, to be more exact, okay? And that's exactly what he's focusing on. It's hasn't even been a full year he's been in power, and he's already causing all these problems, for that matter, okay? Let alone for the next 4 years we have to deal with this guy. And that's not including the fact that after those 4 years are done, he also wants to run for president. Guess what? Again, he said that he's interested in doing a third term. I could not imagine what kind of destruction he would create as a result of that. And that's the truth of the matter when it comes to dealing with that. Or I should say, when it comes to that matter, okay? He is creating chaos. And that's the truth of the matter. So when it comes to how he's doing as a president, he's not doing a good job. It's just that the left in general, as I said it numerous times throughout my video, is just doing a really bad job promoting a lot of stuff that is stupid and no one's really interested in. We've already made it clear as a society, especially the male portion of society, we are not interested in topics, like homosexuality, transgenderness, and focusing on all these silly things related to it, like realizing that when I speak to a transgender person, I have to know if I'm saying the right pronouns, which no one really fucking cares about that, let alone the fact that they're promoting a lifestyle to people that is a lifestyle that actually, even aside from the moral implications of it, is something that, of course, is very destructive, to be quite blunt with you, and confuses people in many different ways, okay? That's the only reason why Donald Trump is winning, okay? But aside from the fact of the new wave of the left that's so stupid and annoying, the truth is, when it comes to how Donald Trump is doing things, he's not doing much of a better job at all, for that matter. If anything, he's just creating more chaos and more destruction throughout the world, for that matter, okay? And that's the truth of the matter, okay? Especially if the left can get its act together, then we could definitely do better than have a better leader than Donald Trump. But in short, to sum up what I'm trying to say here, Donald Trump is a horrible leader. He's just dumb, and he doesn't really do anything, when it comes to actually helping people. I'll give him credit. When he says he's going to do something, he's going to do it. He don't play games. I'll give him credit there, okay? But when it comes to things that actually matter, he's not doing it, because he's a terrible leader. So in short, he's a bad leader, okay? He's a bad leader. Let's not front and act like he's a good leader. He's a bad leader, and that's the truth of the matter, okay? So now that I've discussed that, in all honesty though, to put it bluntly, the other question that obviously comes up, no surprise, is what's the message of this video? And the message of this video, I think, just goes to show you what happens when people fall for the hype, okay? Because this is the problem with people when it comes to understanding politics, is that politics is not, especially in the modern day age, it's not anything revolutionary. If anything, the more somebody tries to make it come off as, we're going to change things, we're going to make things better for people, and this and that, the more likely you have to be kind of suspicious of them. And this is what happens when people are brainwashed into believing that there is a magical savior. And in short, there's not really a magical savior. We just have to figure things out on our own. And that's the truth about Trump, and Trump is no different. I can understand the frustration because a lot of things are going on in this world, but in short, when it comes to someone like Trump, in all honesty, he's not going to save the world. He's not going to save the world, for that matter, in all honesty. He's not going to do shit that's going to make the world a better place. There's been quite a few years, even the past 10-ish years and below, who made it seem like they're going to change things, from Boris Johnson to Georgia Maloney, that's what happens when people believe that there's going to be a magical savior, especially in the modern world, for that matter, okay? And specifically relating to politics, because there's not. Okay, so this should serve as a learning lesson to what happens when people actually believe there's going to be this magical person who's going to save us, okay? Because that's just not how the modern world works. So anyway, this is my video, and I hope you liked it. And just remember, if you like this video and like videos like this, remember to thumbs this video up and hit the subscribe button. And this is all to say, and simply put, I'm out. So bye.